Generic greetings and welcome back once again to Prison Architect. Today's beverage is a very nice glass of iron brew, very chilled and nice indeed. The Scottish beverages are also available, although at this stage I can only really think of whiskey. So welcome back to the game, and I've just realised that previous sentence out of context can be sounding very alcoholic. I can only really think of whiskey. I'm just thinking the only other Scottish beverage I can think of being whiskey, rather than a real drive and want for the substance. Either way, I digress. Welcome back to the game of Prison Architect, where in the previous episode we were finishing off the workshop on the bottom left, which is just about done there, and then on the bottom right we were working on the common room, which is, to be fair, just a sort of slimmed down version of this, but it should serve the prison well. And oh, I see that apparently Aston Ashby has kicked off strong, snitch and fearless, and they were not liking what that parole lawyer had to say, and that guy has definitely been fired from this case. And speaking of firing, the armed guard is in there, and yep, that's one way to go through parole hearing. Anyway, so yeah, we were finishing off the bottom right common room, which is pretty much sorted. It will probably serve the prison quite well, considering its location and distance from the canteen, so that's okay. Also in the previous episode, we did get some more inmates, specifically death row. We have Tom Parkin here, which I believe is due to go through one of the programs here, which is where is it? It should be already running. Yeah, Death Row Appeal. I believe it was 10 o'clock today. 6 till 10 is when they're going to be running that, just after they've utilised the mop. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. They have a 18% chance of having their sentence reduced to life imprisonment rather than death row. So if that happens, we will not be going through the sort of death row procedure, which is fine by me. I have no problems ignoring that one, to be quite frank. I don't really enjoy going through that entire process, but it's more of a sake of completion, and people seem to quite like the finishing of that one. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is do some more building, and I'm putting in a wall around the outside of the facility to then put in a road gate. Not a road barrier. Road barriers are slightly different, which only work when you do like a lockdown thing, or maybe even bang up, but certainly lockdown, and it stops things going through them. But because of the entrances, it's too close to have one of those. But yeah, that'll just add a little bit more security and hopefully help the facility out. But basically, this is the last episode of the building series. I do plan on doing, obviously, extreme testing and some escapes, and I've got a couple of extras that I've got lined up as well, which we'll get onto that later on. But yeah, this is going to be basically the last sort of building and management side of it. It's pretty much complete. There's not much else really to do. I'm going to go through and check up certain things. Obviously, there's like deployment to look at, which, as far as I can tell, is pretty much all okay. We've got our patrols, which we've looked at. The utility seems to be fairly well balanced, although we may have to do some alterations based on this area. In fact, I may go ahead and do that now, but no, we'll see how we get on that one. And other than that, there's really not a lot of other micromanagement to do. Although, speaking of that, grants-wise, we've got 3 grants. Cell Block D, which is to increase our capacity to 120. We're on a safe. Maximum safe capacity is 120. That includes protective custody, Supermax, which is actually more for the gang leaders and the second-in-commands, and also for death row. So we're not going to get anywhere close to that, so we're not going to bother finishing it. We've got carpentry apprenticeship to build 10 superior beds, although we do have the capacity, and we may even have the talent to do that. I think some people were going through that stage. It's unlikely we'll get that done. And then the Reform Through Education Initiative, which requires 10 people to pass the foundation education course and 1 to do general. Let's have a look at policy here. Programs. We've got Workshop Safety Induction. We have 2 interested, so we're going to keep on running that. Carpentry Apprenticeship, nobody's currently interested, so we'll save some money on that one. Pharmacological and Alcoholics Group Therapy, we're going to keep running. Parole Hearing is fine. Spiritual Guidance is running fine. And we also have Kitchen Safety and Hygiene not running. Foundation Education Program. 2 people are interested, so we will run that, and then we don't need to do the general because nobody's interested, and we don't need to do the taser. And what is this guy all about? He is raging for some reason. Ian Wallace, age 31. They are shouting for luxuries. Okay, interesting. Anyway, I'm going to speed up to max speed while I wait for the workers to crack on building the remainder of this wall. And obviously with that wall will also come the road gates, but more specifically door servos. So I'm going to put the door servos on the other side because, well, I can't place a duplicate there. And because they're going on the other side, we will have to run electrical cable down and then across to that. Because they are on the outside, we do need to make sure that cable is ran as such, just to ensure that all is working a-okay. So in terms of intake, we'll have a quick look. We've got in max sec, death row, all maxed out in terms of ratios, but no one else coming through death row. And also, danger level is massively increasing. I'm going to gamble, yep, it's due to John Newbatty, who has been, I don't think fighting, they're most likely just been, oh no, they have attacked staff. Okay, we'll end the punishment there. But previously, when they've kicked off, punched, I don't know, the bed, or flung up, tore the book in half, or something like that. And then they've been subdued and they went, yeah, fair cop, you know, sorry. And then they get an hour in the cell that they spend most of the time in anyway. What on earth has gone on here? That's Stephen Williams, who is a strong, stoical, fearless, and gang member, who apparently does not want to give up, unlike these two guys around here. Interesting. Gang member. Yeah, just a gang member as far as I can tell. But yes, as I was saying, yeah, normally they spend an hour in their cells and then that's it. But after attacking staff, that's probably not going to change there. We can see that this is currently owned by Green, but because there is no more plans being ran by the gangs, so no more takeovers or anything, that's slowly reverting back to a neutral position. Not that it's a big problem anyway. It's 1 out of 4 yards that we have in the facility, so it's not a huge issue. We have got the walls in place. We're just waiting for the electrical cables, and then I'll put the doors in. Looks like that road, that door servo is ready, so we can put the road gate in. Road gate, that goes in there. Another one, oh, another one there. And while I'm ready, door control system, that's now in as well. So there's 2 door control systems and servos connected. So that should mean, hopefully, a lot better security. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, the trucks that come through here are magic and or highly technologically advanced because they can phase through the road gate. And obviously they'll come through. And then obviously they'll leave down the bottom, and then that has to be opened. But it means that if anyone kicks off, they'll go that way. Oh, hang on. Death row inmate status, Tom Parkin 9%. It appears that Tom, who is currently coming through here, has done another course. It's not really the right term. They went through another program of death row appeal, and they failed it twice. Every time they do it, it halves it, their likelihood of clemency. They're now down to 9 days. 9%, should I say. 4 days in the facility. That means that, because we have execution liability, that's now in the green. It means that, regardless of what happens, we are legally covered. So, the question is, do we want to go through that process? Personally, no, because I'm not a fan of it. But for the sake of completion, and for a lot of people want to run through it, we're going to go through it. It is a part facility that we built, so we shouldn't probably chicken out on actually utilising it within the mechanics presented. So, Tom Parkin, schedule execution. We have to initiate a prison-wide lockdown. We also have to initiate a test of the facility. This is the one I'm a bit unsure of. 3% of prisoners are still unaccounted for, which is waiting for that to finish. Ominous music there. Completed the test of the facility. So it appears that it is fine. We're going to assemble the execution detail and escort the witnesses to the facility. Just zoom in a bit. There we go. Execution underway, Tom Parkin. So the execution detail is the warden and the chief make their way to the condemned inmate's cell. In addition, a priest or spiritual leader of the prisoner's choice arrives on site and visits the prisoner in his cell to say final prayers. We also have escort witnesses to the facility. Witnesses to the execution arrive on site and make their way to the execution facility. The group could include family members of the condemned inmate and also members of the victim's family. It says NB, execution witnesses should be provided with chairs, which we have. I like the way that they're using the staff-only areas. Are we going to guess where they're going to come out of? Is it going to be in line of the other thing, or are they going to go all the way to the bottom? No, they're going to come through the shop. Okay, fair enough. The shop is a staff-only door because there's no visitor doors in this version of the game. This being the version 2018 anniversary edition, or the last official version from Introversion. But we have a guard who was escorting them through that. I was wondering if they were going to go all the way to the bottom and through the workshop, but apparently not. There's a lot of prisoners in themselves there, and obviously these are on site here. Bit of a strange thing to come through, right through the body of the facility. I guess there's no other way to get through here. They're going to be escorted to the execution room, and will now be seated. There's our prisoner park in there. Escort prisoner to the facility. So this is the spiritual leader, which is classed as a witness, the chief, and the warden, which is Periwinkle in our case. Note that the warden does not have a set of keys, even though the chief does and would probably have opened the door, but the game didn't do that for some reason. So Parkin, up to the chair. Prisoner Tom Parkin. Prisoner number 96449977, age 44. Sentenced for 68 years for multiple crimes, including murder, torture, grievous bodily harm. Pleas guilty across the board. And authorise. And that's it. Dismiss staff and witnesses. And we'll get our final report. There you go. 4 days without incident. Many of the years with incident, I guess. Dead. Electrocuted by electric chair. And we'll get our final report. The mandated execution of Tom Parkin was carried out at 4:38 as scheduled by electric chair in the presence of witnesses. Regrettably, new information come to light after the fact that would have affected his appeal for clemency, though no action will be taken against the institution, and they will receive the standard compensation of 10 grand for taking part in this process. So they're not saying that information is going to came forward to vindicate him or make him, I guess, not guilty of all charges, but new information has come to light that could alter his appeal. So he could have his sentence reduced down to something else. I should probably change those staff doors to visitors, but yeah. And that's the execution process for no one who's ever seen it. They made a deal of it. They made the whole thing is just they didn't want to make it a factory, for the lack of any other better terms, where you get people in, through, done. You know, you're not even looking at it anymore. It doesn't it's not a light thing, something that just passes by. It's a thing that you rarely do in the facilities, even if you have one of these in the first place. But they didn't shy away from it. But there you go. And that's what we have gone through the process of there. So yeah, we were still, like I say, I guess, we weren't in any wrongdoing legally because of the execution liability, which they were on 9%, the minimum is 10. So maybe in another save, in another dimension, that person would have had their sentence reduced. I mean, you could have gone through another process of parole and the death row appeals process. You could have done all that. That would work. And perhaps they would have had their sentence reduced, but we will not know. Anyway, over to our intake. We have some new people. One of them having some unknown traits. I have no idea what those are, so later on we'll have a little chat with one of our informants to see what the deal is. But in terms of builds, in terms of running the facility, we're pretty much there. So we're not going to spend too long on recapping what we've done, but basically we started out at the start of the series to build a high-risk gang holding facility on a small map with Periwinkle as our warden. We have escapes on. We have not weather on. We don't have staff needs, but we do still have to have a staff room. I know that complicates people, but we don't have the staff needs. We have escapes on, events on. Yeah, all that sort of thing. And it's ran on the Anniversary 2018 edition, the last official version from Introversion. Originally we started off with that, basically. That was the size of the map. We then expanded and got that as well. We have almost every room in the game. We don't have... What don't we have? We don't have a dormitory. We don't have a holding cell. We don't have a forestry. Other than that, I think we've got pretty much else. Technically, we don't have showers, but every cell does have a shower, and that does save us some room. So, that's fine. In terms of grading, it's even worse. Punishment is a 2 out of 10. Reform 1 out of 10. Security is -3, so that's actually increased. Health is -4. The reoffending rate, 52 prisoners being released, has gone to 8%. Even though the paroled early reoffended in brackets is 4%. Oh, that's paroled early. I guess it's the people leaving. That's one of the things that I didn't really take into account, that this reoffending rate here is... Well, it's every prisoner that leaves the facility. Not just paroled early. But this hasn't really been a thing up until recently because these are high-risk inmates. A lot of them have extremely long sentences. 23 years, 31 years, 75 years, 11 years, there's a bit more reasonable, 36, 26, 50, 23, 19, 40, you get the idea. So the only people that have left the facility are, because they've perished within the facility for whatever reason, ones that have escaped out of the facility, or, more likely, the ones that went through parole. It's only now that some of the original inmates that we took in many episodes ago have actually finished their sentence, which is now we're seeing a proper reflection of the reoffending rate. Prison value, 460,000 generic units of currency, nearly 500,000. Daily profits 2.6. 55 staff fatalities, 120 capacity, 114 deaths in custody. That's ridiculous. 7 people escaped, 48 people have paroled early, 4% reoffended, and 1 executed, and they weren't innocent. So, yeah, we had... Is that a thing? So, it did say new evidence has come to light about the prisoner we executed that may have altered their sentence, but it didn't say they were innocent. So maybe you can go and say, yeah, they were found totally not innocent, not guilty. Possibly. Anyway, in terms of the design, overall I'm happy with it. Would I change things? Yes. Would it be a massive change? Probably not. Probably not. I like the idea of having the showers in the cells. It saves a lot of room. Doesn't really fit the bill when it comes to a high-risk supermax facility, and I would certainly put the showers and the drains where the toilets are, so I'll do that just to save more space. I like the idea of this walkway around the outside. The doors do need to be changed. Like this, all the staff doors here, they should just be changed to normal doors. So why don't I just do that now? It's only going to take a couple of minutes to fix. These are still staff doors. Anywhere where a visitor would need access to it, I will make just standard doors. The canteen is a little bit of an issue. I don't like the fact that the kitchen staff has to come out and through the body of the facility to the other canteen. Yeah, not a big fan of that. But overall, I think it's been okay. In terms of managing it, I know there's been some comment regarding free fire. I have run it a couple of episodes where we didn't have it on free fire, and all that happens is they just end up kicking off. They don't stop fighting, and then there's even more, the same if not more carnage. So I think arguments can be made for keeping that on or off. It depends on what type of prisoners you have. Certainly, having the gang leaders and seconds in their own area stops a lot of the... It stops a lot of the gang events, and in some people's, to quote the comments, a lot of the gang fun. It depends on what side of the track you're coming from, I guess. Yeah, just having gangs on in the game stops almost any form of reform, and it's a more harsh experience for everybody involved. But that is what it is. We decided early on that that's where we were going to go. Let's put that back to staff only. Although staff only, yeah, that is fine. Yeah, staff only is fine for those ones. But yeah, overall, fairly happy with it. We could micromanage it a bit more. We could have probably did the odd change here and there, but overall it seems to be fine and seems to work pretty much as intended. We probably need some more people working, but I don't know what else we can really do with that one. But to go back and see the last official version from Introversion, it's apparently unconscious. Only by a couple of pixels though. Not even almost not even the thickness of a cursor, although it depends on your scroll level. But there we go. That has been a bit of Prison Architect. Several episodes of building a prison with the last official Introversion build, without any DLC, without any mods, just using the standard stock stuff. And we're still finding tunnels and other such things. It is, I guess, to be expected. So I'm just going to wait for this to go through. I might as well just move that. Their punishment will be... I guess they're going to take them... Yeah, they're going to take them too. Get healed up there. But we're going to leave it there for now. That's been a bit of Prison Architect, and indeed the last build episode for this series. Sort of. I'll cover that in future episodes. But for now, we're leaving it there for this. Hopefully you have enjoyed this episode, and indeed the full building and management side of it. Next episodes will be Escape and the Extreme Testing Initiative, where we put the prison through its paces. Not entirely sure what order yet, but it will be some of those. And then a couple of other things lined up with this thing. Either way, hope you have enjoyed this and the series and the full build, etc. Thanks very much for watching. Comments in the comments. Take care, and generic partings.